Hi there, this is Penelope, and this is an extra video for Topic 1, Class 1, where we're looking at highest common factors and least or lowest common multiples. Now, there is a lot of confusion about these, and one thing you need to remember is that a highest common factor is often a little number, and the lowest common multiple is often a larger number. So if you've got a list of numbers and you've worked out your lowest common multiple to be 3, probably you're wrong, because the lowest common multiple is a big number, not a little number. Now, you can do these on your calculator. You can do them for 2 numbers, for example, finding the greatest common divisor. Often that's the one we're talking about, the HCF. Then you can do that on your calculator. You find the GCD button, the times 45, 80, and then hit the equals button and you'll get 5. Now the least common multiple we can do also on the calculator. So activate the LCM button, then enter 12, then a comma, which is your shift and your right bracket, the comma, and then 9, then close your brackets and hit equal, and you'll get 36. So this is what I mean. The highest common factor is a smaller number, and the lowest common multiple is a bigger number, because the lowest common multiple has got to be the number that both of them will go into, right? So it's the smallest number. This is the smallest number that's a multiple of both. Or both in this case. Sometimes you might have 3. Now, here's some examples, and we're not going to use the calculator for these because we've got more numbers than it's possible to use on the calculator. The calculator, as far as I can tell, can use 2 numbers, but here we're going to have to use our brains and a pen and a piece of paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to write out the prime factors of 16. So we'd write it as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which we know is 2 to the power of 4. 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 32 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can write that as 2 to the power of 5. This is 2 to the power of 3 times 3. And then we can write 160 as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, which would be 2 to the 5 times 5. Now, all we have to do is find what's common, and if we look, the biggest number of 2's would be, there's 3 of them. There's there, there's there, there's there, and there's there. So that's what's common to all of the numbers, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So the highest common factor is 8. What we could also do is list the factors. So we could list that the factors of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. The factors of 24 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. The factors of 32 would be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. And the factors of 160 we could write out as 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, 16, 20, 40, 80, and 160. So the highest factor that's common to all of those, that's what it means, highest common factor. The highest common factor would be the 8. It's the biggest factor that occurs there. So it will still give us the same answer. To find the least common multiple, we do the same thing. We write out the numbers as their prime factors. So 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 32 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 160 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Now what we're going to do is we're kind of crossing off them vertically rather than horizontally. So we've got those ones that are common, those ones that are common there. Then we've got all these ones. Then we've got these ones. Then we've also got the 3 and the 5. So we've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And if we use the calculator for that, we can work out that that is 480. Oops, I've left off a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So what we've got here is that 480 is the smallest number that all of these numbers, so 16, 24, 32, 160, will go into. Here's a further example of finding the HCF and the LCM of some numbers. Again, let's just start by writing these numbers out as products of their common factors. So 96 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And 120 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And 144 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So let's see what's common. We can go as far as 2 times 2 times 2. And we can also see that there's a 3 in each of them as well. So that our highest common factor would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, which would be 24. If we were to do what we did the last time and list all the factors, we would also find that the highest common factor was 24. Let's look at the LCM. Now this is just, it's the same way, it's just a slightly different way of doing it. If you use your calculator to find the factors, to find the prime factors, then what you'll find for 96 is that it's 2 to the power of 5 times 3, and that 120 is 2 to the power of 3 times 3 times 5. 144 is 2 to the power of 4 times 3 squared. So now we've written it out as they are products of their prime factors. What we need is the biggest number of 2's that will get us where we need to be, which is 2 to the power of 5. The biggest number of 3's, well, there's 3 squared. And then the biggest number of 5's, there's only one of them, so it would be that. So if we use the calculator to work that out, then it would be 1440. Oops. So that's the LCM. Again, see how this is 1440 is a large number. It's the number that all of those will go into evenly, and the 24 is quite a small number. It's the number, it's the factors, so it's a small number.